Hey guys, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my cooking channel. Today I just had to run outside and I got caught in the rain, and so I'm all wet. I'm in the mood for some chicken. I have a whole bunch of mushrooms, so I want to make a chicken and mushroom stew. I'm going to add some cream and some butter and make it delicious. So come join me in my kitchen as I cook. Our ingredients today are olive oil. I have baby portobello mushrooms, otherwise known as cremini mushrooms. I have 2 packs of 4 chicken thighs each. This is about 2.3 pounds, 2 1/3 pound. That one is 2 1/4 pound roughly. I have some butter. I have an onion, some bay leaves. If you want, use whole bay leaves. I'm gonna use ground bay leaves to make it easier. And I'm gonna use thyme. If you have fresh thyme and fresh bay leaves, more power to you. It will come out even better. And I have this garlic stirring paste because my garlic was dry, so I can't use fresh. And I'm going to use salt and pepper. We're also going to use chicken stock, which I forgot to take out of the fridge. I'm going to start by adding some salt and pepper to our chicken. So you add as little as you want to taste. I'm going to put, it's going to be for the whole dish, so I'm gonna put like maybe a teaspoon in total. Now to a large saute pan, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of butter, and let me start melting this. And to change the smoke point on the butter so it doesn't start burning too quickly, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. This will let you cook at a higher temperature without burning the butter. Now once the butter is ready, you see some of it is nice and golden. You're making brown butter here, which is delicious. I'm gonna come over here to our chicken. I've put a teaspoon, chicken overboard, a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm sorry for my hand. I'm gonna start searing these skin side down for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we're gonna turn it over. See how you're getting some nice golden skin right there? That's what you wanna see. So I'm not overcrowding my pan, and right now my heat is at a 7. So some of them, depending on where the heat is distributed, get a little more golden than others, and that's okay because we're going to stick them in cream sauce. So I turned it over, and I'm going to let this go for another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to add the rest of the chicken, which I didn't put all together, into the pan and do the same thing. While the chicken is sauteing or searing, I'm going to chop up all my veggies. See how easy that is? I love this thing. So convenient. Okay, now that I'm finished with all the chicken, I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to put the heat on 5. It's jumping. So I'm going to put the onion. If you want more onion, you can add more onion, however you see fit. And then we're going to cook this down for just about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, these are not quite translucent. There's my little smiley face. And I've quartered. I actually used 2 packets, so it's a total of 16 ounces, only because some of these are starting to get a little, ready to be either tossed out or used. So I'm going to use both my packs. And honestly, I love mushrooms, so this is going to work out. Okay, so I quartered the big ones and I halved the smaller ones. And I'm going to cook this down for about 5 minutes. And then right at the end, we're at a 7 heat, by the way. Right at the end of these 5 minutes, I'm going to add the garlic, and I'm going to add the thyme and the bay leaf. Okay, I brought the fire up to an 8 because it's turning soupy, which is fine. We don't really have any interest in browning the mushrooms, because honestly, you're gonna put chicken stock, you're gonna put a cream sauce, so it's not even gonna, you know, look browned, but we do want to get those flavors developed like if we were browning the mushrooms. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna add the equivalent of 4, maybe 4.5 to 5 garlic cloves minced in our fresh garlic. And I'm just gonna stir these around just so the garlic warms up and you start getting that wonderful flavor in the mushrooms. I'm also going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of the ground bay leaves, or you can use one whole one. And I'm going to use 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. And I'm going to mix this around. If you have fresh thyme, I would use 4, 5 sprigs of fresh thyme chopped up. Then that makes it really good. So now to this, I'm going to lower my flame back to a 7. And I'm going to add the chicken stock. I'm going to let this come to a boil. Now that it's coming to a boil, I'm going to bring this down to a 7. And I'm going to carefully bring the heavy plate with chicken and put the chicken in there. I think I spilled a little, so I'm gonna have to clean up. And I'm gonna put the chicken skin side up and make sure all the thighs are nestled in here. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at a 7 heat, and I'm gonna cover this so it can cook for 10 minutes. Now it's been 10 minutes. I'm gonna uncover this, and you see it's kind of boiling a little bit. I wanna turn that heat down. So I'm gonna turn it down to a 5, and I'm gonna let this simmer and not boil for about 20 minutes. While the chicken is simmering away, I wanted to add, typically I would, after adding the onions and the mushrooms, I would add a tablespoon, 1 to 3 tablespoons of flour to thicken up the sauce, and you let it cook down. And as it cooks, you know, you cook it for like a minute, and then you add the, if you want to add white wine, you could put a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup of white wine to it. And then the chicken stock, or just the chicken stock alone like I did today. And then you cook the chicken in there, and as it cooks down, it thickens up. But I wanted to show you a different way of doing things in case you get scatterbrained and you forget that part. Happens to me all the time because I forget everything. In case you have kids running around and they're not letting you think, you can't cook, you're just hungry and you want to get it done as fast as possible. Let me show you what to do in that case. So here I have 3 tablespoons of flour, and here I have 1 tablespoon of room temperature, room temperature butter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, I probably should do this backwards, but I'm gonna add the flour to the butter and start mixing it up into a paste. I actually adjusted the butter to add 1.5 tablespoons because it wasn't enough and it was getting crumbly. But you see how it's kind of like a paste? This is what you want to see. Once this becomes a paste and it sticks to your spoon like that, we're gonna put this into the liquid, the cooking liquid, but I'm gonna take the chicken out so we can add this, and the cream to it. Now our chicken has cooked for a total of 30 minutes, right? 10 with the lid on, 10 with the lid off. So our chicken should be cooked through, because remember we also seared it a little bit for at least 7 minutes each, right? So I'm gonna take this chicken and put it in that little bowl over there, which has been cleaned. And I'm gonna show you what to do with our butter and flour, just so we can thicken up the sauce. Okay, so now our heat is back up to a 7, And I'm gonna take this big spoonful of butter and flour, and I'm gonna stir it into our cooking liquid. Now it's okay if it breaks off. You just start stirring, keep stirring until it is completely incorporated. And it looks like it's gonna get lumpy, but it's not, because once the butter starts melting, the flour starts melting away. Let's see. And if you want, you can get a handy dandy little whisk to help make sure that you're not getting any lumps. So we're gonna cook this down at a 6, 7, I put it on 7, for a couple of minutes so the sauce can start thickening up. And now look how this has gotten super creamy, guys. You see that? Nice. So I'm gonna taste it. Let's see. Let's taste so I can adjust any seasonings. Oh, that's hot. But it's delicious. Woo. Those mushrooms are so good. Actually, I'm gonna put this on low. And I'm gonna add half a cup of heavy cream, because I did say I wanted this creamy, right? So I'm just going to heat up that cream. You don't need to really simmer it, but I'm gonna incorporate it into our sauce. So just stir it up, basically. That sauce looks nice. And now I'm gonna slowly add our chicken back to the sauce. And this is our end result. Now I'm gonna plate it. If you had some parsley, you can garnish it, make it look really pretty. Guys, now it's time to taste it. Now today I served it on a bed of white rice, only because I made white rice for another video I'm making, and I didn't wanna just make too much food. Otherwise, you can serve it on mashed potatoes, you can serve it with some crusty French bread, and just dig in. It's so good. You can taste that umami, like the earthy flavor from the mushrooms. The thyme and the bay leaves balance it out really well. It's nice and seasoned with salt and pepper, and the garlic comes through as well. I can't speak, I'm hungry. Soak up some of the juices with the bread, and you're good to go. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit like down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more recipes. Bon appetit!